Welcome to the Hunt and the Muse podcast. I'm Tom Cox, and in this podcast, we'll be on the lookout for ideas and concrete actions in order for us to live better. My guest today is Gina Galvao. Gina is a multi-time world and European champion in Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, most recently winning gold at the World Masters. She's a mother as well as a competitor and trains alongside her husband Gustavo Galvao, who she runs the Atos Jiu-jitsu Academy with in Barcelona. We spoke about the habits and training involved to become a champion, the mindset when entering a competition, and how Jiu-Jitsu can help people become better versions of themselves. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Hey Gina, welcome to the Hunt and the Muse podcast. Thanks for speaking with me today.
Hello, Tom. No, thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I've been really excited to do this interview with you. I think there will be like a lot of value for everyone, not just in jiu-jitsu, but people who want to increase their performance in different sports or prepare for big challenges in their life. So we're going to look at things obviously like, tactics and habits that you took on board to become a world champion in your sport. Um, but first I wanted to start at the beginning. So if you could tell me about when you first started jiu-jitsu, how you found it, and why you stuck with it in the first place.
Yeah, of course, and hopefully, like my experience, my life in jiu-jitsu will be helpful for everyone, and may invite someone to try, because as many people, I started jiu-jitsu just because you jump from one thing to another since I discovered, right? Like I was always passionate about sports since I was a kid, and I would do any kind of sport. Okay, but I mean, I never started a sport like where I dedicated really a lot of time or I grow with. So was something I really chose later on. Um, at that moment, I was training Muay Thai. I used to train Muay Thai before because I was already like passionate about martial arts, yeah, and many things concerning like martial arts, many movies or even video games, or I would like to like, yeah, this kind of things, right? And in the other hand, I was in a point of my life, starting the university, where I was a bit confused and lost about my life. Was at the time that job was not like we couldn't have many opportunities. I remember at the age we were all a bit confused, so I decided to, out of my studies and my small works, to find something to do. And I had to quit Muay Thai also because of my studies. So it was through that I discovered Jiu Jitsu. And I have to accept that at first I would hate that. I mean, I was just seeing two sweat big guys hugging each other on the ground, and I would not understand anything really. But maybe the mistake was seeing it in a wrong place or in a wrong way. I would not see also any girl practicing, so for me it was like weird. But my professor at the time of Muay Thai told me, no, maybe you can try, you like it. So I just decided to give it a second chance. And then I went to another place to try it, and I really felt in love for since the first day, because I realized that was something that made my body work a lot, but also my mind, which was more important for me at that time, right? So yeah, and was as well something very real. I was looking for self defense that I couldn't find in Muay Thai, but I found through Jiu Jitsu when I realized was like very real, and you had to control a lot of things to be able to go in that fight.
Yeah, I feel obviously doing it for a couple of years myself. It's almost like chess in a sense that you are using your mind as much as you're using your body, and making everything fit and everything work. And obviously this is something that is drilled into us, obviously, at the gym at Atos Jiu-Jitsu in Barcelona, um, of which obviously Gustavo Govao is our sensei, and obviously the sensei of many others. But obviously, you've had the honor of training under him, and alongside him and his brother Andre Galvao, who's one of, if not the greatest jiu-jitsu competitor of all time. Um, Obviously, you've been training as well with Mackenzie Dern, who's making huge strides in the UFC, and many others. So, if you could tell me about how important the guidance of having these kinds of mentors are, to challenge you to be better at jiu-jitsu.
Sure, yeah, definitely, and of course, like Gustavo, which is he's my husband, but he's my professor, right? Was the one that made me connect with jiu-jitsu in a very different way. I mean, through him, I discovered that jiu-jitsu was much more than just a self-defense sport, or what I'm saying, right? Working the body and the mind as well, but also all the power that has behind, and the people that he has trained with, he has learned with, are all of them like successful, not just fighters, but I mean, yeah, champions in life, right? You spoke about Mackenzie Dern, but also like him or his brother Andre Galvao, or then Mendes Bros. He opened me the doors to many others, or Master Terere, right? So jiu-jitsu depends a lot. What I want to say is that jiu-jitsu depends a lot also, like the way you learn it. I mean, when I entered jiu-jitsu, um, I realized it was a very challenging sport, but maybe because of that, I was seeing myself being possible to one day be a black belt competing in a world championship.
Mm.
But it looked like it was a huge dream since I met Gustavo, right? Because he believed in me and the possibilities since the first time. I think that this is very important. I mean, your professor, the one you choose because mentor is your guide, must be someone that brings you something else than just the showing of the sport. There's a philosophy, there's a power behind that makes great people, right? And yeah, a mentor must be very powerful. I feel this. I feel when he's teaching, I feel with every student the same way I felt, and also a mentor, like someone that believes in you, that sees your best possibilities. So we always work for your progress, and yeah, definitely is something that I see in him, and to any other mentor or leader that you can choose for to introduce you the knowledge of jiu-jitsu.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think obviously I can confirm that kind of intensity that he trains at and he teaches at, um, is quite powerful when you enter the gym, and I think everyone feels that. Um, and from learning from people like this, what do you think separates someone who's simply into jujitsu or is kind of a hobby for them from what separates them from a champion? So, what are the core habits of a champion that you've seen from the people around you and adopted for yourself? The kind of practices and habits that they take on.
Yeah, okay, you mean like, yeah, something that a champion can have that you can adapt to like anyone that
Yes,
you practice.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this is very interesting, this point also, because it's something we apply into kids, which is like the challenging behavior, the competition behavior in a good sense. I mean, jiu-jitsu must be challenging for you, right? To be better, to improve in some way. And through jiu-jitsu, you learn a lot, because the first lessons are not learning to do an arm lock, are learning to don't get angry. Because if you
Mm.
get angry, you will just, hit the wall, and you'll be beaten. I mean, right? So we learn how to behave through jiu-jitsu, right?
Mm.
And the same happens in competition. I mean, for those who compete, of course, we are after gold medal. Finally, no one competes to lose. Is much more intense. Of course, you turn into an athlete. You give much importance to the results, maybe because you work for them, and you have to learn as well with the wins and the losses. But this is what happens every day at the academy, so finally what we learn through competition is as well to apply in our personal life, and how to behave with others in our relationships, a job, with with the people we love, with any situation. um, in general, or I see people driving very stressed, yeah, and they start to argue because of nothing. Maybe after jiu-jitsu, uh, I, for example, learned to stay more calm, because I don't know this word in English, but sometimes we act before thinking.
Mm.
And in jiu-jitsu, if you act before thinking, you will lose. If you lose control of the fight, you will lose. And this is what happens in real life. So finally, sorry, I don't know if I answered the question, because I
No,
don't know about
no, I think I think
your
you're going on the right path of this kind of this kind of perspective, or this calm. Having that kind of perspective is really integral to actually making progress, right?
hmm Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So obviously, a lot of that work is done behind the scenes. So when someone goes into a competition or something like that, people don't see all the work that is done beforehand. The amount of drills, the amount of hours in the gym. Um, and obviously, I saw this personally, obviously with you while you were training before your competitions, how intense it was. Um,
Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah, and but I mean, like everyone, you do a lot of work before to be able to, like for the podcast now. You've been working a lot to now be able to do that. You got ready the interview and the questions, and you thought about that. There's much more work than that. For example, this is a small example, but in everything you do. And yeah, as you said, in competition, maybe people just see the results. There's much more work behind, like everything we do in life. So you learn that through hard work and persistence, yeah, constancy, because it's also very necessary, yeah, to be
mm,
constant, to don't give up. When you work hard for something, you can finally achieve it.
exactly, and I think the discipline part is so important. I mean, it's so possible to let that slip. And I think sometimes when I look at some of the guys around me, and yourself included as well, is just you're in that gym whether you like it or not, whether you feel like it or not. You're there as a kind of discipline. And is that right? I mean, is that something that you take into mind, or is it simply you're always excited to go to the gym?
No, yeah, definitely. Discipline is something you just put in your life. It becomes natural. I think the more you practice, the more naturally it comes as well. So
Mm,
yeah, it's one. It's a habit. Yeah,
mm.
and the habit becomes being disciplined and being respectful and being patient, and yeah, many other things that sometimes you have to remind, of course. But because we work on this every day on getting better, and this requires discipline.
Mm, exactly. And what does your kind of training schedule look like before like a competition? I mean, how many times how many hours do you spend in the gym? How important is sort of rest in that period as well? Do you
Well,
regulate it, or is it how you feel?
Well, there's what is supposed to be, and then there's the reality. Finally, always right. But at some point, like I always try to maintain something, which is working out in the morning, which I would do when it's not off season, but yeah, the lower season will be 2 or 3 times per week. But then when competitions are coming, it will be at least one workout almost every day, yeah, 4 or 5
Mm,
times per week. And then there will be a jiu-jitsu session, which can be drilling or sparring or technique, yeah. This would be like the good thing. Of course, when I'm able to travel and just focus on the competition, which I try to do every time that a competition gets near, I do more than that because I'm just there for that, right? So that's the point that can change my routine when preparing for a competition or not. It's important to maintain because all the preparation is done has a plan, right? And if
mm,
you break it, is not worth. So through years, of course, that you become more professional, I'm able to structure this in a better way. And another thing I take a lot on account is the food I eat. Yeah.
hmm
And as you mentioned, the rest, of course, is so important and is something that because it's like this, I'm a mom. I manage the academy together with professor. So there are many other responsibilities that must be done, and sometimes when you take out time is from the rest.
mm,
But I feel that when the rest is good, your performance can be really better. Yeah, but at the same time, is something that is working on the pressure.
mm.
So till some point, your body is active, your mind is active. You get used to it, and because many things happen in the fight, right? But of course it's so important the rest, and that's why uh, professionals of first level that can have this routine, they of course need to rest and need to stretch and eat always well, and get hydrated. So of course rest is an important part of the training. Yeah.
Mhm. And obviously, you mentioned diet in there as a hugely important. Obviously, jujitsu is so taxing on your body, and obviously training at such a high rate. What kind of things do you eat in order to perform better, to recover better, particularly during competition?
Yeah, so normally, as I said, I give importance to diet, so I normally try to eat healthy and clean. But when I'm taking more care of my body because I'm training harder for competitions, I make sure I always have an extra dose of protein. For example, I take protein shakes, but also glutamine and BCA, which is very important for my recovery. Vitamins, because even we have lots of vegetables and fruits, sometimes it's not enough. I mean, we would
Mm,
have to introduce a lot of quantity of the food to get the vitamins, for example. So it's something I would add as well. And also the CBD, which is something that, especially when the trainings are very hard or because of the lack of rest that I mentioned,
mhm.
CBD helps me a lot to rest better and more somehow because it lets me sleep. When the body has been working out and yeah, training very hard, then it's hard to sleep. I don't know if you realize that some
For
day that you
sure.
late and then you go to bed and you cannot sleep. So
Yeah, you
right,
still
and
got
you're supposed
adrenaline.
to be more. Yeah, exactly. So it's a way to control that and for the muscle recovery definitely, and to wake up better. So yeah, I will need that. I will miss it a lot if I don't have this kind of things. So yeah, that's the base, and drinking a lots of water. I'm not a
Hmm.
person that needs like a lot of things, but finally there are some that if I miss, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I can also contest to that with CBD. I mean, it's been helping me obviously during this quarantine, even during stressful periods, just to sleep better. You know, when your mind is active, you know, not just the body but the mind as well. Yeah, it's been kind of a staple, or it's been really helpful to relax the body as well. So it's interesting to hear that that's built into your recovery as well. So I wanted to also move. Obviously, we've moved from the practical to sort of what you eat and so on. So next, I wanted to talk about how you're preparing yourself almost mentally under the extreme pressure of a competition. So obviously before the moment that you get on the mat and you're about to, you know, face all your competitors. So what's the kind of mindset going into that competition? What kind of things are you trying to avoid or do more of?
Yeah, yeah. The mindset is something I've been working a lot since I started competing. And what I used to do a lot is talking a lot with my professor, because like he would put me in the mood for the situation, which means setting the plan, right? Like imagining that we are there fighting and what we're gonna do. Because you have a strategy, you have a plan, it can change, you must be ready, but you must be there. I mean, adrenaline is there, and you never know when it's gonna come. Is something I spoke with many people who compete at a high level, and I mean, some people has adrenaline the night before, some people feel it 1 week before, some at the moment they enter the fight, some during the fight. It's something good, but you have to control it. And the mindset is very important, that that you have a good one to be able to then control the adrenaline. So as I'm a person that I'm not able to do this by my own, yeah, or I've been growing up through the years, but my professor would help me a lot to imagine the situation, yeah, and being there, and to stay focused. He won't allow me to speak to anyone, because you have to be in the situation. Yeah, if
Mm,
you lose the concentration, then you lose the control. So again, yeah, it's like to avoid any distraction, and try to imagine you fighting, you doing, you winning, you achieving, right? Because
mhm,
I think the mind is very powerful, right? So it depends a lot on how you feel, how you think about the situation to have a good result.
mhm. So it's a case of positive visualization, right? So seeing different scenarios in the fight.
Yes, and enjoying the process, right? I mean, don't put too much pressure on, like, I have to win. No, but you have to enjoy. You have to do what you've been preparing for that, and
Mm,
being realistic, but put your best there. You've been working for that, and enjoy it, yeah, in a positive way. But of course, if you have a goal, you have to put everything in you have in your hands to achieve it, right?
mhm. And what about things like I don't know, like outside inputs like social media and things like this? Is that something you try to kind of avoid, or even things like seeing your competitors on social media or something like that and thinking about what they're doing? Is this a kind of thing you try to avoid, or perhaps
Yeah,
you're yeah.
I nowadays I'm okay, and I like to see it just more because of knowledge, or just to share or see. Yeah, of course it's good to know, what are doing your competitors, but I mean more for knowledge, because I mean maybe in another point. But it was something that I tried to avoid, to don't put more pressure on me, because
Mm.
on social media everything looks bright and great, and so this used to be something that put a lot of pressure on me, or seeing the name of a girl in my division and someone coming and telling me, oh, this girl is so good, and then I would start to shake, this
Yeah.
yeah, got me mad. So then professor came and told me, hey, I don't care. She's good, you're good as well, so it's very important to stay like in your, so it depends, like for me is something I would avoid. Now I'm better with that, because I learned that you cannot let your feelings go away because of nothing, finally. Yeah, there's
Mm.
people that controls these things better, but I think you can work on that. So nowadays I don't give much importance, but I also know that everyone looks at social media, of course, so I also take care of mine, in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to just run through kind of next just about the schools and almost like your teaching methods in a way. So, what are the most important things that you that you try to teach the students at Atos Jiu-Jitsu? The core things that you're trying to teach them.
Well, yeah, through jiu-jitsu, finally, what we learn is to develop our skills. Yeah, we go there to have an improvement. So yeah, the main thing is to be every day a bit better somehow. Yeah.
Mm.
What does better means? Well, maybe better is just feeling better. I want to be more coordinate. Okay, great. The first day you won't get any movement, but if in few months you got better movements, great. You had a goal, you're getting a bit better. Maybe you are a very stressful person, and the first day you'll go there, maybe you have talent, you'll do good, but someone makes you tap and you get angry, you yell, you no. Someone is gonna stop you, you're gonna behave differently, more respectfully. Like there are some bases you have to respect, right? So it's, yeah, as I said in the beginning, I think jiu-jitsu is a lot a matter of behavior that sometimes we don't realize. And there are things that happen in our life sometimes because of our behavior that we have in front of situations. And I think that jiu-jitsu teaches us a lot of that,
Mm.
about this getting mad or jealousy, or no, I cannot, the word, the thing, but I cannot do it, we hear it a lot. And no,
Mm.
try it, try it and try it again and again and again, and then you realize you are able to do it. So finally, what I try to say, and to everyone individually, because everyone is different, is that they improve in something they 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 are not good, yeah,
Mm.
but that they have to keep it for themselves. Everyone will have a different goal. Some people will come to lose some weight, some people will come to learn to how for self-defense, some will come to compete, some will come just for fun. Okay, always respecting, of course. But I mean, what I try to say, and everyone, and that's how also people is promoted. Finally, you have to see an improvement. So
Mm.
that's what they have to get. We want to see people improving, finally getting better, and when their jiu-jitsu is better, their behavior in front of things is better as well,
Mm.
supposedly. And if they do not, they didn't have a progress. So yeah, they didn't achieve what they came to do.
So they go backwards in a way.
Yeah, yeah, right. And you have to remind it. So yeah, finally, I think it's something that professor like finally says, yes, for example, and sometimes says things that you didn't realize, you didn't think about. It's a different vision. But when you realize and you see, yeah, hey, things are possible. As I said, if he didn't agree that I was able to be one day being a black belt competing at a world championship, maybe I would not be there.
Mm.
Yeah, and you need someone that believes in you. Yeah, so that's why people comes in jiu-jitsu, and that's how you can see their progress in jiu-jitsu,
Mm. Yeah,
right?
and it's taking small steps just in the right direction, but it is small steps every step of the way. Like every lesson is for me is always a tiny step. If I manage to do one thing right, I come out of there feeling happy. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
yeah, so you mentioned previously, amongst that, obviously some people are coming there for self defense.
Hmm.
So obviously, I've recommended jujitsu several times for women in particular who are looking for some sort of self defense classes, and have been met with some sort of strange looks of why would I not do striking, or why would I not do something different? Um, Perhaps you can unpack that a little bit. Like, how do you feel that jujitsu can actually empower women as a sport?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, jiu-jitsu is a very different martial art from others that are more known, right? When I started as well, it took a long time for people to know a little bit more about it. And yeah, we and always you say you practice some martial art, and people that's like like thinking that they are fighting, but always hitting. And why you need to hit, or for no to learn how to defend? I need why you need to hit? No, what you need is to control the situation. And another thing that makes a difference with jiu-jitsu, that technique beats the strength always.
Hmm.
Of course, like this is the basis, and it should be like this always. And if you have noticed, when you see girls, maybe white belt girls, but fighting with bigger guys, normally when they develop some skills, they are able to start to control a bigger guy, maybe with not much strength, but because it's what we have to develop. It's the basis of jiu-jitsu. It was built for that. And the problem is that some people wants to put this in competition. Of course, I'm not able to beat Andre Galvao, but
Hmm.
I mean, if I have a problem with a guy, first I won't show I know how to hit, because this is an error. Woman will never have more strength than a man. This we have to know as well. But because it's not a matter of strength, it's about controlling the situation, waiting for the time, and then boom, shot. Yeah, it's the surprise. But I mean, it's through practice and through the possibility of seeing that, and that's why it's good to have a group of women, because you can start, and there is no more strength normally from one to another. But
Hmm.
then when you see girls fighting men, and everyone is like, whoa, how this, right? Or with the little kids, you see it very quickly, very quickly.
Hmm.
So um well, I don't know, I would tell them first of all that they need to try, and especially because there is no hitting, is not violent, but they have to discover by themselves how effective it is. And it's something I asked to my girls when they were training, because many of them started at the same time after a few months. And what most find in jiu-jitsu was this: the self-confidence that allows you to develop the self-defense, because it's more a matter of self. confidence and self-esteem to feel that you are able to hold a situation.
Mm.
Learning to hit makes no sense. Learning to control a situation, to be able to escape of it easily makes sense.
Yeah, that's totally on the money. I mean, I can kind of support that as well in terms of self-esteem and self-confidence and how this sport actually made me feel stronger. And it's not just in situations like physically stronger, but to be able to be calm under extreme pressure or difficulty. I would actually take those the practices that I learned in jiu-jitsu, um, and kind of adapt it. Nothing is more uncomfortable than having another guy's shoulder in your face for 2 minutes on the floor. I mean, so um, maybe you can speak on that a little bit, like how jujitsu can help society in general. Because I think you know, I didn't mean obviously I don't mean to go completely political, but even situations recently with the police manhandling people and not
My God.
controlling them properly, resorting to violence. So, how do you think that jujitsu can actually help people in general or society in general?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's a very like sad thing. Many problems that happen that could be avoided with more knowledge. Like, unfortunately, violence is there, and we must be ready if something happens to be able to react. Yeah, and not with violence, not really, but when you know jiu-jitsu, maybe there's something you can do, of course.
Hmm.
Um, the example you put of like having a knee on the face, which is very uncomfortable, right? There are two situations. Like the one that you were trying to beat the fight, and then you get exhausted because you put all your strength, and then the guy just lies the knee on your stomach, and you're not able to move, but he's not hurting you, right? And maybe he's having a good control. You're not able to move, but he's not hurting you. This is something you have to learn. That maybe tomorrow at work you did some part of your job bad, but your boss came and just told you, hey, I didn't like the way you did that, but I know you can do better. I'll let you go on. Okay, that's the good thing, the good way of saying things. Another is the situation where the guy just pointing the knee on your face.
Mm.
Hey, if you're not liking it, if don't agree, the boss just comes and starts to shout at you, to yell at you, or you can get angry and try to go against him, and you'll hit the wall, or you just wait for him to calm down, and then when he loses his power because he will get tired, then you react. Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
it's again a control of the situation, but this is how jiu-jitsu can help the society. And the guy that just wants to hurt will learn that hurting with violence, just with angry behavior, won't gain anything. Like with these things that happen, finally he's gonna fall, yeah, by his
Mm.
acts. And this is exactly what happens in life. Sometimes you have to lose a lot, you'll have to tap, but finally will be victorious or will give example to others. Yeah, like now it's very sad that some things that happen, like um, well, he's known right now, George Floyd. What had to happen for people to open their eyes, and violence is there, and problems are still there. So let's stay calm first, control the situation, see what is happening, and what we can do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously we're obviously running a little bit over the time, but this has been a really great conversation. I've definitely learned a lot. Where can people find you online? Instagram and so on.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Tom. I'm sorry if I talk too much. I really like the the questions. Really made us talk about a lot of things. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, you can find me online personally on Gina Galvao JJ on Instagram, or also on the school website, which is Atos Jiu-Jitsu BCN.com, and also on Instagram we have the Atos BJJ BCN, and also Professor Gustavo Galvao G Galvao JJ. There you can find us and information. And of course, if you wanna come at the school at Carrea Intensa in Barcelona, we'll be glad. And hopefully soon we'll be back. Yeah, with all the
Yep,
students and
exactly. Fingers
work
crossed. I'm looking
every
forward
day.
to it, like I said. So
We
yeah,
need to do jujitsu now.
y-
I mean, it's time to adapt. Yeah, someone blocked us, but we need to escape from that situation, and we will. We'll
yeah,
recover the.
yeah. Now's the time. Now's the time. Take care.
Thank you, Tom.
Speak to you
Thanks a
soon.
lot. Take care.
If you're hearing this, then wow, you got all the way to the end. So thanks a lot for listening. If you enjoyed it, then please consider leaving us a review on whichever podcast platform you're using. And also check out the material on the Hunting the Muse Instagram, which is at Hunting the Muse, all in one word. You can also find us at huntingthemuse.net, where you can subscribe for more big ideas.